Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlighting that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Just go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Life Transformation Radio. Go ahead and join us live. You can also join our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community, and never miss an episode by subscribing where you listen to podcasts. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, CastBox, Himalaya app, Google Podcasts, Pandora, and we are available on YouTube by searching Life Transformation Radio on YouTube. While you're there, go ahead and rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the show. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, and other amazing human beings having an impact in the world around them. And my guest today has done exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, go ahead and give us a call at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome my amazing guest for today. Hey, man, welcome to the show.
Sean, thank you so much, man. I'm excited to be here.
Dude, I'm super pumped to have you on the show, man. I haven't had very many former or current NFL athletes. I think I've had like 2 out of like 448 episodes or whatever. So it's super cool, man, to see kind of the transition from that high-paced, intense athlete realm to what you're doing now, man. I love hearing the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose the entrepreneur route is another element of that high-tempo, fast-paced lifestyle. So it was one transition to another, just some may say opposites in their nature.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, man. You go from like high-intensity, hitting people to emotional intelligence, which is all about like interpersonal problem solving. Like in one aspect you hit people, in another aspect you talk out your problems. So yeah, man, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before I start, man, I don't want to like butcher your name, man, so pronounce your name.
Keyen Lage.
Okay, so I got the Keyen part. I was cool there. I was going to say, you probably get Lage or Lage, probably a lot.
Yeah, I get D, all the above, man. It's a very difficult name to pronounce.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah,
Lage.
I wasn't even gonna attempt it, but So here we go, man. This show is about emotional intelligence for world-class leaders. Keyen Lage is a former NFL athlete turned emotional intelligence coach for world-class leaders. After almost becoming paralyzed during a football injury in the National Football League, Keyen was able to start his new journey by looking at life from a completely new perspective. He dove headfirst into understanding what it actually means to live a life of fulfillment while achieving success along the way. Since making that decision, Keyen has personally worked with over 300 people on creating a healthy relationship with themselves so that they are able to escape the rat race of the achievement loop and step inside a place of achieving massive success, impact, and money from a place of ease. He helps entrepreneurs and business owners regain a deeper connection with themselves to find more fulfillment in their lives. Keyen has worked with world-class fitness models, professional athletes, Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, and C-list executives. Keyen works with people all over the world on being able to remove mental, emotional, and physical blockages that are preventing them from reaching their full potential. His website, Facebook, LinkedIn links are right there in the show notes. Go ahead and click on those and send him a friend request, letting him know that you listened to his episode of Life Transformation Radio. So the first question I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question you could ever ask yourself, is why? Why do you do what you do?
Oh, absolutely, because I've seen the incredible internal transformation inside of me that I would love for the rest of the world, in particular world leaders, to be able to experience as well. So certainly from my own transformation and being my biggest client, being me, wanting to share that with the rest of the world and in the way of doing it with the people that are influencing everybody else, with the world leaders.
And I love it, man. I love that you said that you're your biggest client. So many people I meet, they would ask me questions, or somebody but I would be coaching, and I'd say, yeah, but you know this already. Well, yeah, but I don't know if I need a confirmation, or I don't know. Like, I know it. You know, I'm like, well, then coach yourself. Like, you already know this information. You already know what to do. It's almost like you need justification on why you should take that job or you should make that decision. Like, you don't need justification from anybody. You know how to coach yourself, then do it.
Yeah, certainly. And I think there's an element, though, and this is the part that I work with, is the why behind the inability of being able to take action on the thing, or be able to just really follow through with what we know is right. And so I don't necessarily focus as much on the nuts and bolts of the technicalities of what people need to do, and more so the why and the reasoning behind the inability to do those things. So the underlying roots to the reasoning for the inability of being able to take that action.
Right. That makes sense, man. There's a lot of people that I've talked to. I was just on a call today, and they were like, well, let me think about it for a little bit. Like, sounds good. Sense. I don't know. I think I'll just do a little more research. I'm like, all right, well, you need to take action on something. Like, you just asked me what you should do for free. I gave you what you should be doing, but yet you still want to do more research. I don't know what you're looking for. Well, I just want to make sure it's the right thing. I'm like, it's never the right thing. There is no right thing. In business, there's just the thing. There's a right thing. There's a lot of wrong things you could do, but there's not too many right things, because what I think is right may not be right for that person. What's right for me isn't right for you, isn't right for the next person. But there is things that you could be doing, positive things that you could be doing. I don't know, man. I don't know what people are looking for.
That's such a great thing to dive into. And I think that's a huge problem in the entrepreneur space, especially with people trying to figure out who they want to serve and what they want to deliver. And what I've found in working with a few other coaches, being my clients, and even for myself, is when I've been able to step into the place of what do I want, how do I want to deliver it, and who do I really feel good about serving, it's allowed me to get way more clear and way more inspired to go towards that. And I think that way of being, that idea of like, how do I do this thing to cater to the people that want what I have, instead of making it about ourselves, be able to tap into like this inner sense of knowing of, okay, this is how I want to deliver it. This is what feels best to me. And going all in on that, I feel like causes a lot of inaction. But then again, it's difficult to be able to tap into that place if we don't really know ourselves in the first place. So the inspiration comes from the internal space of knowing this is what I want. I feel like that's that deep inner drive, because as humans, I think we're selfish as fuck by nature, to be honest with you. So making it about anybody else besides ourselves makes it eventually lacking motivation. I don't think there's any longevity behind making things about other people really in the long run. So yeah, I think it all comes down to us as humans being able to know ourselves, and I could expand more on that, in a way that we're able to tap into our inner sense of inspiration inside of us. I don't like to say intuition. That sounds too mystical for me. The inner sense of inspiration that really pushes us towards what feels good to us, allowing that to be our guide. And but it's difficult to do if we don't really have an idea of who we are, if we've been living our lives trying to cater to other people.
Yeah, I always ask a lot of people, like who are you at your core? Like, what does that look like? So I ask you, man, who are you at your core?
That's an incredible question, and this is what I've done. Is I've allowed myself to do the opposite, be the opposite of everything that I thought I once was. From how I handle everyday interactions when I see somebody on the street, to how I approach religion. I gave myself permission to let go of everything that I thought I once was, and really shatter that thing that I thought I was. Because I think most people walk around thinking that they have some element of free will, when in reality we're just a byproduct of our upbringing, right? Where our programming gets already instilled in us, thinking that we're making these autonomous decisions when we're actually not. So the first step is being able to let go of who we believe we once were. And that's one of the scariest parts that causes us to have to shatter a lot of our identity. And there's a lot of instability that can come from that. But that's really the biggest thing. And what I've been able to do is I've let myself do that and try things, and really first establish what I'm not and what I don't want to be and what I don't want to be involved with. And it's sort of a process of elimination for me, with trying a lot of different things and expanding myself outside of the realms of things that I've always known to be true in my Midwestern, South Dakota way of thinking and being, and allowing myself to gravitate towards different things that I'm inspired to do, and finding true identification in any of it. It hasn't really served me. It's caused me to have to attach to things, not allow me to continue to grow.
So much learning in that, man. I love it. There's so many times where, and I think you felt this way too, man. You think you got it all together. We're like, oh, this is going to work out great. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. And then there was one thing we missed, or two things we missed, and maybe it didn't turn out exactly like we thought, but maybe it turned out very different, but was for the better. Or, we're going into a situation like, yep, got it, nailed it, we're going to make this thing happen. And then it doesn't. And then it really tests you, tests your resilience, tests your toughness mentally, emotionally. So that's why I love emotional intelligence, man. It really speaks to the heart of how you handle and interpret every single situation. And emotional intelligence really, I think, needs to be taught to kids, man. You covered a lot of points there that I think that if we ask kids the same thing, they wouldn't know either. But turning it around and saying, well, who do you not want to be? I think if you started with who you are not, or what you don't want, I think would be a much longer list than who you want to be or who you want to become. I had a conversation with somebody, one of my coach friends, and we were talking about kids, and with the virtual school, 2 years ago, year ago, even in 2019, we were like, hey, man, this screen time's crazy, man. Kids are always on the screen. The screen time's crazy. Not one person has complained about children's screen time. It's not even a topic of discussion anymore because of all the virtual school. So in 2019, screen time was a problem, but in 2020, it's okay. 2021, here we are, still doing still doing virtual school. Like I guess screen time doesn't matter. But talking to kids, it was like, what if we looked at kids as who they could become, not who they are currently, and if we treated them like who they could become, rather than whatever their current circumstance is, whatever their current battle or struggle is. What if we just treated the children like who they could become? Maybe they would flourish. Like, ooh, good emotional intelligence.
Yeah. for sure, 100%, Sean. But here's the thing, man. It's difficult for people in the position that would be the ones looking at the children in that way to look at the children that way when they're incapable of looking at themselves that way. Okay, and so having a child is a huge responsibility that I feel like a lot of people don't that take for granted, in the sense that we project all of our shit onto our children. I'm not saying that there's a point where we're automatically be perfect, where we no longer have any shit that we have to deal with and process, but there is an element of being able to live your life in a way that you feel proud of and that makes you feel good. And in a way that you gave yourself permission to live the way that you wanted to live before you had children. But that's not the case a lot. And so you're asking people that are incapable of seeing their own potential to see potential in children. And no matter what, as parents, as people, no matter what we say to kids, ultimately what they're going to do is they're always going to feel and really take in their actions. Right? And so no matter what we say to a kid, they might hear it, but what kids actually do is they feel at really high levels. And so it's not necessarily the words that matter to children. It's all about the energy and the actions behind the words that matter. And so if as adults we can take it into our own hands to be able to live a life that we feel proud of, that we feel good about, we then as a byproduct treat our children and kids in that same way. Right. So, but it's easy for I feel like a lot of adults to say, oh, let me just like change the way I'm speaking to a kid instead of actually taking true accountability for my own life, where I'm able to naturally embody that energy that a kid can feel, that allows the kid to be able to step into a place of this infinite creativity within themselves, right? To feel comfortable to be able to do that.
Right.
Because a lot of parents are in positions emotionally where they can't even handle themselves. So the children have to step up and be emotionally responsible for their parents. Okay. Yeah. Allowing them to never get to be able to be children and live in this expansive place of infinite possibility, because they're too busy trying to make sure emotionally that their parents are okay or everybody around them is okay, instead of being able to step into that place of, whoa, this whole world is out here. I'm emotionally able just to be a kid, and now I'm able to acknowledge and see all this infinite possibility. But if I'm a kid and my parents are emotionally unstable, I don't have a chance, no matter what my parents say to me.
Right. Yeah, man, definitely. Thank you for the insight, man. I didn't think it was going to go there. I love it, man. I love it. I love how your mind works. So the transformational moment, I think, is the most important moment of anyone's life. If we always stay in the same place, we always stay in the comfort zone, then we don't grow. If we don't grow, we die. So for you, what is a transformational moment that changed you and put you on the path to what you're doing today?
I mean, it has to be the moment that was the moment before I was told I'd never be able to play football again. And that moment was a feeling of, this is it. This is what it feels like to accomplish my lifelong dream of playing in the NFL. And that was the feeling that I had shortly after I started watching practice before I went and got my physical in Kansas City to eventually tell me that I'd never be able to play again due to a neck injury that I had. So in that moment, at the age of 22, I was able to come to terms with this idea that, wow, nothing that I accomplish is going to bring me the level of fulfillment that I'm really looking for in my life. And I'm very thankful that I was able to do that, because I feel like a lot of people, they either never reach that point of achieving their lifelong dream, or by the time they get there, they've already wasted a lot of life thinking that the accomplishment is going to bring them a certain feeling that they never end up getting, leading down the rabbit hole of achievement. And and that's where, for me, man, I'm like, yo, I have this information, I know this, and I've been able to live in the space of understanding at the emotional level that nothing that I accomplish is going to bring me fulfillment. So being able to step fully into this place of, okay, well, what is that? What does that look like? I think that moment for me, man, was incredible, and really set the tone for me moving forward, and how I'm living my life, and how I'm choosing to go about it.
I love it, man. I think there's so much learning in our failures. I think there's so much learning in our transformational moments. And even though we go through a lot of them over the course of a lifetime, I feel like if we just bypass these moments, if we just glaze over the moment where you thought you were going to do this one thing, circumstances happened, and then it took on a whole new life, I feel like we miss the glory of the transformational moment. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, certainly, and for somebody like me, who's a very good pivoter by nature, of being able to go from one thing to another, I would say I'm very fluid in that way, and really maybe not allowing myself to experience the magnitude of that transition emotionally. And I feel like that's a relatively common thing in very masculine individuals, is quick pivots and transitions when there is something very emotional that comes up or arises. And spending more time in that space, I mean, I'm still processing some emotional stuff from football. And that's where a big part of the people that I work with now tend to be people that are dominated by their masculine, and being able to go back and really feel for themselves, which is what I reverted to earlier with a lot of the high achievers and high performers and world leaders, are people that emotionally had to step up when their parents were not capable, which is why and how they're able to take on this way of being that allows them to achieve at such a high level, because they took on massive responsibility very young, where they learned how to be able to achieve at a high level, and learned that when they do achieve at a high level, they receive a lot of love. So that's where I work with those people, in being able to go back and feel a lot of the hurt and pain, allowing them to actually feel joy and fulfillment, instead of just temporary gratification from accomplishment through praise that other people give them.
Yeah, I like that a lot, man. Let's talk about after the transformation. You've created a pretty lucrative emotional intelligence coaching business. So for the listeners who may be new or don't really, they're not in the space, they don't really know, what is emotional intelligence to you?
Emotional intelligence is being able to know ourselves in the highest capacity possible. And the next question might be, well, what does that mean? What is knowing that thyself mean? And it's a series of process of really, really understanding why we do the things that we do, and being able to, I don't want to say necessarily analyze, but get really aware of our habits and our patterns when certain triggers come up. And that's where I talked about at the beginning, a lot of people think they have an element of free will, but most people are actually running based off their programming, or I would say the adaptations they've taken on to survive in their environment at the highest capacity. But really being able to look at ourselves and to know, whoa, like I respond this way in this situation. I respond this way in this situation. Whoa, I have this tendency when my mom does this to respond in this way, or when somebody rejects me, I respond in this way. And being able to really go in and see the things that we do, and being able to make changes to that programming in a healthy way. So that's part number one. And part number two is going in and feeling a lot of our deep inner hurt, the parts of ourselves that we do such a good job at preventing ourselves from feeling and experiencing. And now we use addictive behavior a lot of the times to prevent ourselves from having to feel that. Whereas some people use some people use crack and porn and alcohol to not feel some of those deep rooted wounds inside of us. But other people
get that
use
dopamine hit.
Yeah, right. But also, Sean, other people use achievement, right, and helping other people and religion to prevent ourselves from having to feel a certain level of our own hurt and pain. And so I believe that is the number one thing for us with being able to live the life that we truly want to live to the highest capacity, is being able to go in and see our deepest, darkest sides of ourselves that we are so afraid to confront, and being able to make love to that darkness, or those parts of ourselves that we fight so hard to not confront.
Nailed it. Man, I love it. I watched a video one time, it was a Goalcast video, and guy was talking about emotional intelligence, and he was talking about how he was aware that, like, his dad was a hard worker. His dad derived value from the fruits of his labor, while the son pursued acceptance from his father because he wanted to be good at his dad set such a high bar, such a high pedestal, that he would ask him, like, you know, are you proud of me now? And he's like, for what? And then I guess on his deathbed, you know, he says, hey, Dad, you know, I'm a multi-millionaire, and, you know, I paid off your house and your farm, and, you know, it'll be in the family forever. And, you know, I'm debt free, and I'm a millionaire, and I've started and created all these businesses. Like, are you proud of me now? And Dad's like, for what? You know, so everything he did was in pursuit of somebody else's value, of what they thought about him. And he yearned for the acceptance of a family member. And I was like, man, like, so many people live that way. And when he talked about, like, achievement as a way to become somebody, to be accepted, to, you know, they use achievement to be liked, if you will, or to mask a certain pain and hurt. And, you know, once I achieve this, man, like, everything's going to fall into place. It's going to be amazing. I thought that way about my TEDx talk. I spoke in 2017. I said, man, this is the Super Bowl of speaking. If I could just get on that stage, man, I'm going to be somebody. Man, I'm gonna nail this thing, and everyone's going to know who I am. And then none of that happened. I don't have $1 million. I'm not a, you know, well-known, like, you know, Tony Robbins to me is a well-known speaker. You know, everybody knows who Tony Robbins is. Not that many people know who I am. So, but I'm okay with that. You know, I've got my 1,000 true fans. You know, I've got my community, you know, and, you know, that makes me happy. But in the context that you use it, I was like, man, how many people do that all the time? They use achievement to mask things, or to hey, look at me. Now do you like me? Now do you accept me? You know, and being emotionally aware of what drives us. I think if we stopped and paused and was like, why do we do it? That's why I asked my first question, man. Why do you do what you do? Like, why? What is your purpose? Why do you do what you do? Because although my wife says, holy cow, you're on the computer a lot. Oh, my gosh, you're on another coaching call. Geez, you're always on your phone talking to somebody, or you're always creating something for somebody. You're on all this client work, and I outsource to my team members, and I say, hey, I need this done, I need this done. So I'm running things, right? In my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, because it's a means to an end. Like, I run businesses because I want to do my own thing and get my message to the world and help and serve people. She looks at it as, well, you're on your phone and computer all the time because you like business and you like making money. Well, yeah, but the business makes money so that we can survive. It'd be no different if I was working 12 hours at a job.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, I'm doing it because this is how I want to provide for my family, and I'm doing it for them. When she looks at it as I'm doing it for me.
Hmm.
So there's that.
What's
So there's little dynamic. There's little dynamic.
Yeah, certainly. And I guess the question I would have for you is, what would be wrong if you were doing it for yourself?
I've always been taught to not be self-serving. If you do something self-serving, it doesn't serve anybody. But if you do something that serves other people, the value of that would serve all of your self-interests. If you are a people person first, not like serving your mom and your dad, like, I need to get my dad's approval, so you're going to do everything you can to get, like, that's not what I'm talking about is like entrepreneurs who, or anybody really, who just puts positivity into the world, right? Like I serve you. That's why they call them servers or waitresses, or so they call them servers. So if I'm in a service-based business and I want to serve people, I guess you could say you would derive value from the customer's happiness of the service that you provided. Like, you're doing something for someone else, and that is enough happiness and value and gratitude. Seeing their life changed would bring your life meaning and value. But if I did it,
stop right there. So when I'm bringing value and making other people feel good, that gives me permission to feel good about me.
Okay.
Right? It sounds like a contingency to me. Sounds like a contract that you may have with yourself. As long as I'm bringing value and making sure these people feel good about themselves and where they're at, then I give myself permission to feel good about myself and where I'm at. But when I don't, when I'm not making these people feel good, and I feel like I'm not serving to the capacity that I feel like I could be serving, even though that capacity might not even actually be something that's quantified,
right?
I don't feel good about myself.
I'm tracking.
Is there any of that? Have you seen any of that? Any of those patterns?
You talk about me specifically?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times, I always feel good about myself, because like I know who I am at my core. I know I'm a decent human being. I'm a father, husband, military veteran, for 20 years. I'm all about serving. But there's never a time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, and you see how mental that was, right? A lot of permission, right? A lot of permission because I'm this, because I'm this, because I'm this, because I've done this, right? Then that means that at my core I feel good about me, right? Like go into kind of like a qualifying game with it. Well, because of this and because of this and because of this, I feel good about me.
Right.
You see that?
So you're saying that's not good?
It's
not a good thing?
It can be a relatively shaky foundation to stand on, right? So when I feel like I'm not fulfilling my role as a father, when I feel like I'm not fulfilling my role as a husband, when I feel like I'm not fulfilling my role in my working with my business, the people that I'm working with, then I don't have a solid foundation to stand on, and I don't feel good about me.
That's me.
Right there. Right?
If I don't feel like I'm stepping up, if I don't feel like I'm providing, if I don't feel like I'm pulling my weight, like as a military member, as a team member, like, yeah, I definitely feel bad about myself.
Ooh, and Sean, that's a lot of weight too, because you put a lot on you, right? You put a lot on you. The standards
Oh
you
yeah.
have for yourself.
Oh, I know that already. Oh,
Right? You
I
already know
set
that.
so many high expectations for myself. Oh my God, yeah.
Right?
And I fail.
Yep. And here's the thing. So this is the part that we can get a little tripped up on. Is when I do make it about other people, and when I do make it about making sure that I'm fulfilling my role in these areas, and if I'm not, I don't feel good about myself. What that leads to is,
Yeah.
are you ready?
Yep.
Negative feelings towards the people that I love and care about, and the things that I'm using to give myself permission to feel good about. Okay? So what's another name for that? Resentment. Okay? So when I'm not able to fulfill my role as a husband to my wife, no matter what I do, I feel like I can't do it good enough, right? You gave the example of you working so much and then your wife not being able to see potentially the reasoning why you're really doing it. I'm sure that can bring a little frustration, right? And then what does that lead to potentially, right, in your feelings towards your wife at times?
It's something we discuss a lot. She's like, what do you got to do today? Yeah, I got to get these podcast episodes edited. I got to get this one coaching call. I got a book. I got to do it. She's like, that's a lot. I'm like, I'll get it all done. It's fine. I'll get it all done. And we've had to say, like, look, 8 o'clock, 8:30, like you're shutting it off. Like you're done. Like you'll work until 8:30 at night, and then it's done. It's family time. You're done.
Right. So right here, Sean. So how does it feel to you to know that you're working your face off to not get the gratification that you feel like you should be receiving? How does that feel to you?
So what comes up for me automatically is so it's one way for me. I don't derive my value based on other people's opinions and what they think about me. I derive value by my work ethic and what I produce into the world. If I'm producing a lot of positivity,
right? Your perception of you fulfilling the standard you have for yourself, right?
Yes.
That's what it's built on. It's your perceived understanding of your ability to fulfill the standard that you have set for yourself, right? And those standards are high as fuck.
Yes.
Right. So your ability to feel good about yourself is only as great as you being able to fulfill the standards that are high as fuck for yourself. So there's this contingency on your ability to feel good. Okay. Now we as people we have a lot of those, right? We don't even realize them, right? But that right there can be the downside of making it about everybody else, of saying, hey, I do this for these people and these people and these people, and I derive my sense of feeling good off of me knowing that I'm doing this and this and this for these people, because it can lead to resentment and can lead us to resenting our spouses. It can lead us to resenting our children. It can lead us to resenting our business, right? And not because those things are actually really causing us issues, but solely because we feel like we can't meet the expectation of what we feel like needs to be done for us to be successful in those areas, right? The brain will never blame the self. It'll never say, oh, I'm fully the issue here. It'll always say, oh, that thing is the reason why I'm not feeling good. Now, consciously, no, but unconsciously, yes. And that's why sometimes as people, we don't really, like, we develop resentment towards people close to us. We don't know why, and we just push those feelings away. I'm not saying you do or have, but it's actually very common when we live our life for other people, right? Because as humans, we're naturally very, very selfish, right? And to give an example here, for the person that says, "Oh, I'm not mean to anybody because I don't want to make people feel better, or I'm just too nice, right? Or I want people to feel good. That's why I don't maybe stand up for myself, right? But it's actually a huge lie that ends up leading to a lot of resentment towards a lot of people, right? What do I mean by that? Well, people aren't actually wanting to just make other people feel good. What they're really saying is, I'm scared what will happen if I don't make this person feel good. I'm scared what will be the byproduct if this person's upset at me. I'm scared what will happen if this person doesn't like what I have to say. right? I don't actually really, 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 really care that much about that person to not want to hurt them, or I'm not just that nice. I'm actually scared. Okay? And so in the long run, making it about other people, making your life about other people will lead to a lot of disappointment inside of ourselves and resentment towards people close to us when that standard is so freaking high. Okay? So being able to reframe it, like, I've become consciously selfish as fuck. I used to be a people pleaser big time, thinking that I wasn't being selfish, right? But what did I just say? I actually was. Because I was actually just scared. I was actually just scared what would happen if somebody didn't see me in a certain light, right?
Right. That makes sense, man. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that totally makes sense.
Yeah. And a lot of this too, Sean, is so many of the people that I work with at these high levels, or I would consider you a relatively high performer, somebody that pushes yourself so hard to these high levels. I mean, for you to be in the military the way that you were, and to have the business that you have now, you are a high achiever. But that's normally the hardest thing for any high achievers to do, is to be able to truly make it about themselves, right? Because they're always in the role, the masculine role of providing for everybody in their life, which ends up leading to the inability to really achieve the standard they have for themselves, causing there to be this emptiness inside and this over dependency and reliance of other people on them, right? So how do we fix that and solve that? Well, them being able to make it about them and their life about them, and feeling for themselves instead of just feeling for everybody else.
Right. Wow, man. Yeah, I mean, you had me pegged, man. Like, the way that you put it, I was like, yup, that's me. Like, that's literally, man, that's amazing. I know it's almost like I know it, but it's what makes me feel good. Some guys are addicted to certain things, but I think I wouldn't say I'm addicted to success, but it's like when I'm on a coaching call and I get that breakthrough moment with somebody and they go, oh, got it. And then like releases something, and like revenue flows and abundance flows and like relationship, flows, like everything is just amazing in their life at this moment because of one thing that was unlocked in themselves. Man, I live for that. It's amazing. And I try it with my kids all the time. And, it's like when you potty train your kid for the first time, they're like, yes, all you're thinking is no more diapers, right? But you're like so happy for them. It's like a next step of the evolution. When the kid takes this first step, you're like, come on, you can do it. You can do it. And you're like working with them. And they're like, yes, they stood. Oh my gosh, they're walking now. That moment, dude, I live for those moments, man. I live for those moments. And so when I do what I do, because I want to make those moments in other people's lives. That gets me fired up, man.
And I don't want to say there's anything inherently wrong with that, right? Because it does feel phenomenal. It feels incredible, right? But is there that contract with yourself that says, when this is happening, I feel good. But when it's not, I don't feel good. Right? And that's the fine line of walking on. Right?
So
and other people in your life too, they actually feel that as well. They feel that, whoa, okay, this guy, dad, husband, brother, friend, feels the best when I'm meeting this standard of growth in myself. Whoa, I feel that pressure to have to meet that. Whoa.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just allowing it to happen as they would like it to, it becomes an expectation that they feel, even though you might not feel that, right? Consciously, they're feeding into that, right? And that puts that pressure on them to have to be a certain way, or to continue to grow at a certain pace that may not be comfortable for them, and they end up more focused on trying to keep up the pace of the growth than actually stepping into them and who they want to be at the highest level.
Right. So I was going to say, and you would totally understand this, through January, like I had a couple clients like right before Christmas, like 18th, 19th or something like that. We had a couple clients stuff. You're just finishing up a couple things. I said, man, I love the new year. It's the new year, new you, cliche, but I'm like, man, like I love fresh starts. Every Monday is like a fresh start. But here we go, man, 2021, let's do this. And I didn't onboard anybody through January until I got to like the 29th. And I tell you, man, the third week I was like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? Like my marketing is solid. Things are solid. Yeah, I get COVID. I get it. Man, like I just want to get in the game. Like I don't want to sit on the bench. I want to get in the game, man. I want to be coaching people. I want to be creating things. I want to be like launching stuff. And I got my own stuff, my podcasts and other business stuff to do. Like I'm doing stuff. I said, man, what? Like, where's everybody at? Like, what are we doing? And I felt like I was talking to nobody. And then it was like, here's one, and then two, and then one, and it was like, boom, like right in a row, man. Like the last 29th, 30th, February 2nd, February 4th, February 6th. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden, it was a flood. And I'm like, why was I so worried? I have no idea. Like, but that's what we do. Like, I got this. Like, why was I so worried? But my wife's like, you'll be fine. Like, it's fine. I'm like, man, I need one more client, man. Let me unlock someone's potential. Like,
yeah. And Sean, so this is what I would say right here, man. When we're addicted to needing that high, it causes us to not maybe see what the universe is trying to show us during that time when things aren't there. And so, right? Yeah. So we're focused on this idea of what I don't have because I need that thing to give myself permission to be okay. It causes me to not be able to maybe see what I should have been looking at or what I should have been putting my focus into while I was experiencing all this resistance from the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that causes us, right? It causes us to not be able to identify the moment as it really is, which clearly your attention should have been elsewhere during that time, right? And maybe you did, maybe it was, right? But that's what maybe some of that addiction does. It causes us to not be able to see, whoa, I'm experiencing all this resistance. Let me take a step back and really ask myself, okay, where should I be putting my focus and attention into right now? Right? Where should that go? Like what feels like needs my attention right now that I'm not giving it to? Clearly, it's not maybe my business right here in this moment. Right? Well, what is it? Right? And so that's what being able to separate from some of that stuff allows us to do, and allows us to catch up in these other areas of our lives, so there can be this even increase in all the different areas, right? Because eventually, right, our capacity to maximize our business is only as great as some of our lower capacity categories, right? Whether that's friendships, whether that's our intimate relationship, whether that's being a great father, right? So being able to take a step back when a lot of things are set up in place for business to do well, and being like, whoa, okay, where does the attention go? Whoa, what feels like actually needs my attention right now? Right.
Wow, man. I got a lot to think about. Deep, man. That's deep. Dang,
yeah.
Man. That's why you make the big bucks, man. That's why you're the world-class professional.
Yeah, I'm the best in the world at what I do, man. It's
man,
it's
crazy.
Incredible.
I love it, man. I love it. Hey, man, what I want to do is I want to give the listeners an opportunity to get a hold of you, man. So for the listeners listening, where do you want them to go to learn more about you?
They can go to my LinkedIn, they can go to my website, and they can go to my Instagram. My LinkedIn, I'm sure you'll put the spelling in the show notes, as we already established. It's a very difficult name to spell and pronounce. So you'll have that. I got the LinkedIn, then KeyenLage.com, and then Keyen.Lage for my Instagram.
Perfect. And then your website. Your website is KeyenLage.com. KeyenLage.com. Go check him out.
Yeah.
Go check out his website. He's got a lot of great content, man. He works with entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, creatives, people who are doing amazing things in the world and want to just get past some of the stuff that, we were literally just talking about it, right? So if you want to make massive success, if you want to create an impact, if you want to make money from a place of ease, this is the guy who's going to help you do that. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything that you're doing inside of the entrepreneur space, everything that, all the positivity that you're putting out into the world, man. You are a world-class human being, man, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Sean, for having me on. It was an awesome, awesome experience for me, so thank you.
Likewise, man. As we close the show, we always leave the listeners with a message or a call to action. So today, speak to the listeners, give them a message or a call to action.
Ooh, I love this. So in a world, right, in a world that says we have to have it figured out, we have to know exactly what we want with our life, we have to have the proper direction and know exactly the path that we think that we should take figured out, give yourself permission just to not have it figured out, right? Just give yourself permission to not have it figured out and to just follow that little voice that says, hey, just go do this thing. Hey, just go do this thing. Hey, just go do this thing, right? And through that will emerge a more clear path for us. But if you try to force your way into to thinking that you know exactly what you need and what you want without fully giving yourself permission to not know what you want, you may end up having a midlife crisis that you don't want to have, okay? So just give yourself permission. It's okay if you don't have it all figured out, and allow yourself to follow that.
Love it. Love it, man. Again, thank you so much for your time, man. This has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. I agree entirely.
Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. If any part of our conversation today with Keyen Lage resonated with you, please reach out to him at KeyenLage.com. Go to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, right there in the show notes. And as we close the show, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. I call this living your brand. Until next episode, live an amazing life.